ladies and gentlemen, we've got, oh, actually, wait, never mind. Now all of a sudden now all of a sudden YouTube wants to have the stream. Okay, so we are now live on YouTube as well. Sorry, YouTube, there was a long time that, okay. So YouTube is live now. Okay, so hey YouTube, glad you're here. Romulus A Push Review is available at the App Store. Remember that, and I aim to be back on YouTube at 8 p.m. Eastern, but for a while, whatever was going on there, we weren't just, the stream wasn't hitting YouTube, and now it is. So hey YouTube, glad y'all are here. Okay, let me go ahead and unpin that chat. We're going to go ahead and remove that, and there we go. All right, so we're going to go ahead and unpin that, and yeah, great. So with that, you know, Germany, then they got the Weimar Republic. Okay, so the German Empire collapses. You know, you've got, you know, the Kaiser goes and lives the rest of his life in what, Belgium or the Netherlands or something. I think the Netherlands, because he wasn't going to be too welcome in Belgium after the Germans invaded. So I'm tempted to say perhaps it was the Netherlands that took him in. So they try and experiment with liberal democracy. But again, Germany, they had some experience with, you know, a representative body, but you also had, you know, a strong, like, you know, a strong Kaiser, or at least a Kaiser with a lot of powers. I don't know if I'd necessarily say Wilhelm II was a strong Kaiser. But as far as that goes, that, you know, we see that the Weimar government is struggling with things, because remember, the Treaty of Versailles made them have to demilitarize almost completely, and then also that they had to pay reparations to Britain and Belgium and France. And so, you know, Germany has just been devastated by a war, just like everybody else has. Imagine that you lose your job and then, like, you get home and, you know, your credit card company says, like, hey, your whole balance is due, or something like that. You know, all of a sudden you've lost your job, and then the credit card company says, we're just, you know, you better pay up right now. And that's something that, you know, it's going to be tough to do that. And so the Weimar government is actual. Now, another thing about the Weimar government is it tends to be kind of, you know, kind of morally lax. And there are some, like, traditionalists that are, you know, they don't like the direction that the culture is going, which I think that we can see some parallels to our country today, you know, that there is, you know, a more progressive element, and then there's a more traditional element. And so, you know, basically the Weimar government is kind of getting on its feet near the end of the 1920s, but then bam, the Great Depression. Now, Hitler's Nazi Party never really did that well before the Great Depression. I mean, the Great Depression pretty much sealed the fate of the Weimar Republic, because you had support for the communists and support for the Nazis. So, you know, you had, like, a greater amount of support swell up for the most extreme authoritarian governments. Okay, so that's something that you see there. And so then in 1933, when Hitler, you know, when Hitler takes power, you know, his Nazi party has over 40% of the Reichstag. Then, you know, the Catholic parties will support Hitler in the Enabling Act after the Reichstag fire, that basically Hitler says that I need dictatorial powers to deal with the communists. And, you know, communists are pretty bad and dangerous and all of that. I get it. But at the same time, you know, they consented to the Enabling Act, which gave Hitler 4 years of dictatorial power. Now, don't do that. That person's not going to give it back after 4 years. You can't just give somebody, you know, the Romans would give dictatorial power in an emergency for up to 6 months. So this whole idea that Hitler will have dictatorial power for 6 years and, you know, the rest is history, as they say. So going from there, can I review the main causes of World War I? Now, with that, I'm going to remind y'all, I do have a YouTube video that focuses on exactly this: militarism, alliances, imperialism, and nationalism. Now, as far as that goes, militarism, that is largely focusing on the Anglo-German arms race, okay, that both Britain and Germany, who were the two most industrialized economies in Europe. Now, remember, on the eve of World War I, Germany actually overtakes Britain as the #1 industrial economy. And Britain is actually, even today, Britain is Britain is in a situation where, I mean, Germany is still the largest economy in Europe. Okay, so that's something that you want to note there. So militarism, now alliances. Now Bismarck created the alliance system. As far as that goes, to keep the peace, okay? Because the alliance system is a lot like nuclear weapons. Like, Margaret Thatcher once said that nuclear weapons have been the greatest gift that, we've ever been given because they've given us peace. And so nuclear weapons so far, like, they've been a great gift. They work until, when I look out my window and I see a big old mushroom cloud, then that's going to say something there. And I'm going to be like, okay, I'm going to be eating crow at that point. But so far, so good. And so Bismarck conceived the alliance system because you need something to replace the old concert system. So Metternich's system that was established at the Congress of Vienna, it counted on there being a balance of power between the great powers. But the issue is that by the time we get to the late 19th century, there's not a balance. That Britain industrialized and just became like, just this superpower because they were the most advanced and industrialized economy. And then, of course, once Bismarck comes in, Germany starts to catch up, and they catch up quickly. Now, France is kind of like, the French are typically not in a hurry to do much of anything. So the French, they are, just kind of plodding along. Now, the Eiffel Tower, 1889, France, Paris hosts the World's Fair, and they're like, look, we've got all this surplus steel. Bessemer process. Y'all want to look that up. The Bessemer process, it makes great outside evidence for both APUSH and for AP Euro. So that's basically allowing for the mass production of steel. So alliances, Bismarck has in mind that this is going to keep us from fighting. This is going to keep peace. But when Bismarck is dismissed in 1890, it starts to kind of go another way. And the whole alliance system, when I'm talking about the alliance system, I like to bring up, baseball brawls, when the pitcher hits like somebody with a pitch, and then there's this big brawl, the bench clears, all of that. The alliance system is great, and it works until it doesn't. Right now, when you think about NATO, the United States and most European countries are involved in an alliance. Like Europe today has a collective security agreement. One NATO country gets attacked, and that's it. That's going to be a big war, at least until it's not. I mean, because it could be that force is so overwhelming that war won't last that long. But you see what's going on in Ukraine, and Ukraine's not even part of NATO. Now, imperialism, okay, and remember alliances, the Triple Alliance, you've got Germany, Austria, and Italy, which Italy will then kind of bolt later. And then you've got the Triple Entente, which is a French word for understanding, Britain, France, and Russia. So as far as that goes, then we've got imperialism, okay? Imperialism, which is, when we think about imperialism, that is, basically like you see the competition for empire. And that is creating more tension between, Britain and Germany. Germany, at the turn of the 20th century is hoping to kind of supplant Britain as an imperial power. Now, also, let's think about imperialism within Europe, because we have to think about, the Austro-Hungarian Empire and how you've got 10 different ethnic groups there, including the Serbs. And so this imperialism, what I call imperialism within Europe, that you've got the German Empire, the Austro-Hungarian Empire, and the Russian Empire. Like what is now Eastern Europe was basically ruled by, 3 big empires. So I like to mention imperialism beyond Europe, but also imperialism within Europe. And then, of course, nationalism, okay, is viewed there as well. So that's something, I've got a video on that, but there you go. And it looks like Marie Antoinette might want to come on stage. I see a raised hand, and when the Queen wants something, I think that that the Queen gets it. Okay, so there we go. Let's see if Marie Antoinette is going to join us on stage. So we'll see there. Okay, I have invited her, but we'll see. Did somebody cut her head off on the way over here? We'll see.
Hello.
Marie Antoinette herself. Wow. I mean, do I need to like bow or something like that? How many times do I need to bow when the Queen's there? Is she going to say anything? Maybe
Hi.
she did. Hello?
Can you hear me?
I can. Yes.
Hi.
Hi. Oh,
Hi. I just have a question.
yes. Let's hear that. I'm looking forward to that question.
So was the Soviet policy of COMCOM to like influence Western countries to adopt communism, or was it just for like East Bloc countries?
Okay, and what is that? Go ahead and just put that in the chat again. Make sure I'm hearing you right. I think this is something, if I hear you saying it correctly, I think this is going to be something that goes beyond the exam. But if you'll just type that in the chat so I know what you're, comic. Okay, so it sounds like those comic book people that get together. But yeah, this is basically, I believe, the assembly of different communist countries, right? So this is something that goes into, and I guess what this is as of November. Yeah, so these are basically, this is kind of something for, the Soviet Union is trying to bring in different kinds of like allies and stuff like that. Yeah, I would not consider this to be essential exam material. But this is something that's basically going along, and they are, trying to create something that is, it's, I would say, the Warsaw Pact. What I would focus on for the exam is the Warsaw Pact. And that's fine. Grace, that is totally fine. And remember, part of my job is to say, like, look, now, where did you find that, Your Highness? Where did you like find that you should study that? Just out of curiosity. Oh, she's got her mic off. Or do I have her mic? Oh, did I do that? Okay. I'm not sure what happened there. Marie?
No, sorry.
Okay. So
Our history teacher wants us to know it for our
okay, so
test.
that was on your teacher's terms list, and that's fine. Like sometimes a teacher's terms list, they might have their things, because I pass out terms lists to my students of things that I personally find important or that I've emphasized in class. So that's fine. I mean, again, I do the same thing. And sometimes I've got things on my terms list. Yeah, she found her head. Okay. And so with that, I've got some things on my terms list that may be more that they're integral to my class rather than to the to the thing as a whole. And so is Marie Antoinette still here on the stage or not? Let's see. I don't know how to control this exactly. But let's see. All right. So, yes. So, Marie Antoinette will go ahead and thank her. And let's go ahead and get that guillotine going. And I think we have, taken care of that. All right. So, thank you, Your Highness, for showing up with us this evening. And so, from there, so just make sure that, just some things that you're going to study, they might not be completely critical there. So with that, let's see. I can invite people into the wings as well. That might be a good thing to do. And I don't know, it's still got a spot for the Queen on the stage. So with that, the main beliefs of liberalism. Okay, so we've spent a lot of time talking about communist and fascist and that sort of thing. But when we think about liberals, okay, the root word of liberalism is liberty. Now, one thing that we want to drive home, that In the United States and Canada, the word liberal is used typically to refer to someone who's center left. Okay. So when somebody in the United States identifies as liberal, they typically are identifying themselves as left of center. But when a European identifies themselves as liberal, now you have to clarify, are you an economic liberal or a social liberal or both? Okay. So basically liberals, classical liberals, in the 19th century. Now remember, there's no such thing as a liberalist. Okay. Just don't use that. Like some people, they say liberalist, like they'd say nationalist. So liberalism is founded on two things, basically. The two maxims of liberalism, as defined by John Stuart Mill, are that first, the individual is not accountable to society for his actions, insofar as these concern the interest of no person but himself. Okay. Then the second maxim of liberalism is that for such actions as are prejudicial to the interest of others, the individual is accountable and may be subjected either to social or to legal punishment. Now, note here when we say they are accountable, we have to note that this maxim can get a little tricky, because what does it mean, prejudicial to the interest of others? How high are we going to set that bar? So then the individual may be subjected to social or to legal punishment. Now, that's another thing about liberalism. Liberalism says that government should be minimal, okay? That basically some things, it's enough to keep somebody, in line with society, to have just social punishment. We have things in our society that are frowned upon, where it's like, this may not get a person, in jail, it may not get them arrested, but at the same time, it's like, okay, this, you're not going to go to jail, but nobody's going to hire you. Okay. If you decide that you want to, become a neo-Nazi or something like that, you want to put that all over your social media, you want to go to meetings, you want to make posts about how great Hitler was or something like that, you're not going to go to jail. You have your First Amendment rights, but society has a right to punish you in terms of like, whoa, you're kind of like outside of the lines here. Now, liberalism is basically that when we're thinking about classical liberalism, it is the opposite of socialism. Illiberalism emphasizes the individual, whereas socialism emphasizes the society. So liberals talk about rights. They like written constitutions. Economic liberalism, basically that the government's role is to protect property. The government's role, laissez-faire is an important thing here. When we think about the government generally staying out, low taxes, free trade, that we don't want protective tariffs. We don't want something that is limiting the limiting trade. The corn laws, that's something that liberals don't like. Now, today, people talk about neoliberalism. Okay, so when we're talking about neoliberalism, it's basically like a new kind of liberalism. Now, also note, remember, forget what people say in the United States. When we think of someone who is liberal, they probably are not as pro-industry as somebody in the United States who claims to be conservative. But liberals, European liberals, they typically like business, they like industry, and minimal government regulation. Okay, so that's a bit about liberalism, and especially like classical liberalism and conservative liberalism. Okay, so as far as that goes, let me just run over to. Okay, just now remember, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to be going live at 8 p.m. tomorrow evening. Okay, I will be going live at 8 p.m. tomorrow evening. I'm about to go on to an A-Push stream on Marco Learning's channel, but I'm going to go live at 8 p.m. tomorrow evening. And so with that, Romulus Euro is available on the App Store. Now, note that this is just a simple little trivia app. Don't buy this if you buy it looking to have stimulus-based questions. The point of this app is to help you mostly prepare for the SAQ, the LEQ, making sure you know some things and you know what this was, what that was. It's a little $2.99 app. It's not there to work miracles, but I think it is something that will help you study. And remember, generally, people who have the most trivial knowledge, they do best on the exams. But again, this isn't something to help you answer stimulus-based questions and stuff like that. So with that, let me go ahead and just thank everybody for coming. YouTube, sorry we were late. Okay, so sorry we were late. But as far as that goes, we'll go ahead and, we'll be back tomorrow. Hopefully there won't be any trouble with the YouTube stream tomorrow, and maybe I'll even get started just a little bit. We'll see. I mean, I'll just hopefully, but again, if there's trouble with the YouTube stream tomorrow, we will just put a link to the Crowdcast in the YouTube chat like I did tonight. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, it is always a pleasure, and I'm looking forward to seeing y'all tomorrow evening at 8 p.m.